Okay, I think we can start. So thanks everyone for coming. A warm welcome to this afternoon session. So welcome to Pier 71's Roadshows. I'm Jessica. I'm from Pier 71 and MPA, and I will be your moderator for today. So in these twice weekly sessions, what we're doing is a series of one-on-one interviews with our corporate sponsors who contributed innovation opportunities for this year's Smartport Challenge. And if you're new with us, Smartport Challenge is our annual innovation competition for startups to reimagine their solutions for the maritime sector. Smartport Challenge is the flagship event of Pier 71, which stands for the Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagined at Block 71. And it's jointly set up by MPA, that's Maritime and Port Authority, and NUS Enterprise. So if you had joined our online launch that was about a month ago, you will know that we have 17 innovation opportunities from 21 maritime corporates. And today we're going to go into 2 of them. So today we're going to be hearing more about, firstly, condition monitoring for Harbour Tugs equipment with Keppel, Smit, Towage, and that's Bernard. Hi, Bernard.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. And then we'll be going into the centralization, organization, and interpretation of port and customs regulations by Wilhelmsen ship agencies with Azim. Hi, Azim.
Hello there.
So yeah, thanks very much, guys, for joining us and all our attendees online here, the Zoom webinar, and also those who might be tuning in through Facebook. So just some admin instructions. Along the way, we'll first do an introduction of the problem statements, but anytime that you have questions, please feel free to put it into the Q&A function or the chat function, and we'll be addressing them along the way. Okay, so please feel free to do that at any point in time. So without further ado, then I think I will start off with Keppel Smit Towage problem statement. Okay.
Hi. Hi everyone. My name is Bernard Tan. I'm from Keppel Smit Towage. I'm the technical manager. What Keppel Smit Towage do is we operate Harbour Tugs in Singapore waters. We also have a big operation in Malaysia. Okay, so in Singapore we have 24 vessels, and in Malaysia we have 34 vessels.
Okay.
So, yeah. So at this point in time, we are looking at a problem that we have on machinery condition monitoring and basically for maintenance planning.
Yeah. For those who might be very new to this sector, Bernard, sorry to interrupt, would you be able to tell us what are Harbour Tugs?
Okay. Harbour Tug, basically you see all cargo ships that come to port because they are huge and not so easy to maneuver. So you need a Harbour Tug to assist them when it comes to berthing and unberthing. Yes, this is where Harbour Tug does its job. So typically, it may use up to 2 to 3 Harbour Tug just to assist a cargo ship to berth and unberth.
Okay. So the cargo ship, the one that was stuck in the Suez Canal, and there was this little guy who was helping him to move along, that's a Harbour Tug, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Those are
good,
actually the tugs supposed to be there to help them, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Too bad KST wasn't there that time.
Absolutely. You might need to expand your operations.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so okay, so your problem statement is on condition monitoring for these Harbour Tugs, right?
That's
yeah,
right.
so maybe can you share how is it currently done? Like what is this?
Okay, basically condition monitoring as it is now, what we do is very manual. We take parameters of operating machinery equipment, so manually, and all these are not digitalized. So everything is in paper form. So we can't really build a trend to analyze whether a temperature is changing or pressure is changing. Taking like COVID-19 as an example, now we monitor our temperature. It's actually very manual, right? So if we can do this automatically, then it will build a trend. That trend help us determine when is the machinery going to fail, when is she not feeling well, go and see a doctor and do overhaul and do maintenance kind of approach. Yeah. So this is what we are doing now, very manual.
Okay. So you're looking for something that can automate this process.
That's right. Automate this process. Everything goes into a computer with all the data being trended and analyzed. And it helps us to do preventive maintenance before the machine breakdown. And since we are not able to do this with all this manual data now, what we are doing is we are following manufacturers' guidelines. So they say after so many days or so many months or so many hours, you open them up, you check, you replace whatever parts that is worn out. So many occasions we are doing this ahead of time because it's preventive. So we don't know the actual condition, and we're wasting a lot of time and money just to stop the vessel from operating, open everything up, do a check, and put them back. And it could be as long as 2 weeks. These 2 weeks is just wasted just to do all maintenance.
Right. Okay. And the time, other than the time taken when you do all that, when you open up the machine, does it also kind of reduce the lifespan in a way? Like
no, actually enhance the lifespan because the parts are wear and tear. So you need to replace them so that the machine lasts longer.
So you're trying to find a solution that can help you to know when to do this replacement or when before the stipulated deadline.
Exactly. So that we don't prematurely do things that's not necessary.
That's right. Yeah.
And machinery also works in a way that it depends on how much you are being loaded. It's like human. You load a human too much, you get stressed out, they all fall sick. Yeah. So a machine is similar. So if you are not using the machine heavily, actually you can prolong the maintenance time. You don't have to do it in a year. You can do it in 3 years and even longer. So condition monitoring help us to sort of like lengthen that period and sort of not waste time and money into just opening up things for the sake of opening up.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. So we've talked about what the current problem is.
That's
so
right.
The current problem is that you have the only way that you know when to do the maintenance is to follow that fixed schedule, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you only can do it that. Yeah. There's a lot of downtime that may be wasted, which may not be necessary. So you're trying to find something that can help you to have a bit smarter way to know when you should do the maintenance.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. All right. And I think we had a question that was submitted to Pigeonhole actually from Rodion, and I see he's in the attendees as well. So Rodion asked, what type of onboard equipment are you talking about? What do you need to monitor and what are the parameters?
Okay, for Harbour Tug, there are a few main equipment. It's very crucial to the operation. One of them is the main engine. The other one is a propulsion system, which is a propeller, the propulsion system. And then the third one is the electricity generating equipment. Usually we call them generators. And then the last but not least is the winch. The winch is used to tow the big vessels. So these are the 4 main equipment that I would like to look for solutions so that I can condition monitoring them. And these are usually the equipment that when I have to do an overhaul or maintenance, a major maintenance, it takes a long time and very expensive. So I wouldn't want to take the vessel out of service unnecessarily. So if I know the condition, I only take her out when necessary.
Okay. So that's the 4 equipment.
That's right.
Catch that. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, again, gentle reminder to our attendees, do feel free to submit questions if you have to find out a little bit more about this. And maybe let's just continue first. So Bernard, if you can also share for those who may be trying to think about how to do this condition monitoring, what are some signals that potentially can be utilized to find out about the equipment health? So earlier you mentioned like for a human, like we can look at temperature, but we can actually also look at things like blood pressure, right?
Yes.
So there are a lot of different things for a human body. So what are some of these indicators that maybe that you typically use or that you think may be useful to be monitored?
Okay, basically there's a lot of temperature, pressures, even vibration data for a rotary machine that is an engine. So the main engine, the auxiliary engine is the generator, diesel generator. So typically these are the data and information that's been extracted out so that you can plot a trend. Yeah, and then let's say for a winch, right? A winch is not as complicated as an engine. So hydraulic pressure is used to drive a winch. So monitoring hydraulic pressure, for example, through a long trend, through time, if you see there's a drop in hydraulic pressure, you know something in there is wearing out. Yeah. This is the other way around. In human, you get high pressure, high blood pressure. This one is like low pressure. Then it tells you something is wrong.
Right. Okay. Okay. So these are the different indicators that someone can try to consider when we're trying to monitor these equipment.
That's right.
Okay. But you also mentioned something earlier about digital and analog, right? Could you share a little bit more about that?
Okay, so these analog signals are all there now. So when an operator operates a machine, when he start up the winch, you can actually see the pressure. But this is not being recorded. So it's all on his memory, all by experience. So when an engineer on board run this machine, he remember it's 10. So day in, day out, sometimes it slip a little bit 8. He doesn't even notice that. But constantly from 10 to 8, slowly these things are deteriorating. Yeah, so with all this being gathered as a digital data through trend, you can tell that things are failing. So now it's all based on manual memory experience.
Yeah.
So we all call them experience, right? You feel that hey, this thing is not quite right. Last time it's used not used to be like that.
Yeah, so you need very experienced personnel. I suppose that also makes it difficult to hire people in a way because you need people with a lot of industry experience.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, so that's one of the challenges we're trying to solve here too.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So Rodion also followed up with a question in the Q&A. He asked, how many parameters approximately do you expect to collect per vessel?
Wow, that's a good one. I have not really looked at how many parameters. Let's say in an engine, it could be as much as 150 parameters.
Wow.
Just one machine. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say if I got 2 main engine, then it will be like 300. Then plus the generator, 150, and so on.
I see.
Yeah.
But I suppose it wouldn't just be like a dashboard of collecting parameters. You will need some kind of a sense making, interpreting, I suppose.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So they will plot out trend to show you various parameters. If the system is intelligent enough, it will alert you that it's falling out of a normal range. And all this data, all these operating parameters, there is a range. The manufacturer tell us that within this range is okay.
I see.
So we ourselves can set the threshold, the tolerance, so that it warns us earlier and we detect the trend earlier or falling out of the trend.
Okay. So you would be able to give the advice on how to interpret the data. So what you're looking for is someone to be able to collect the data, right?
That's right.
Okay. And relating to that, then another question is also from Rodion is, are you looking for a ready-made condition-based maintenance solution, or do you only need the equipment telemetry data, so that I suppose that collection of data for your already implemented solution?
I think I need a full range of solution, not only collecting the data. I need the tool to help me make sense out of this data, because this data got correlationship.
Okay.
Yeah. So somebody, example, the engine manufacturer also can advise because they got a set of data from new. So that machine must be intelligent enough to compare to a baseline saying that it's falling out of range.
Okay, so you're looking for an end-to-end solution. So you don't have any existing system that you need it integrated with. Okay. So it's an end-to-end one for startups who are listening in, something end-to-end that they're keen to sort of input into their.
Correct. Example, most of the data now are analog. I would even need to see how to transform this analog data into digital, and from then on, this data can be analyzed.
And would you be able to share roughly what percentage of your equipment are analog and digital? Is it like 100% all analog, or you have some that are like digital?
Maybe about 80% are analog, I would say.
Okay. And this, if there's a solution that is available, or that can be developed, you're hoping to implement it onto all your Harbour Tugs, I suppose. Right?
That's right, all my Harbour Tugs. Then my technical superintendent don't have to look at data and get themselves confused.
Yes, understand. Okay, lots of questions coming in. That's good. So on data, you mentioned about your technical superintendent being the one who's confused by data. Someone's asking, iGauge, Anton from iGauge is asking, do you have a team or someone who is analyzing the data collected manually right now?
At the moment, every superintendent is in charge of their own vessels. So example, all this data comes in on monthly basis. They are the one that look at the data and try to make sense out of it. But just imagine all this data are on paper format. And the most usual way on manual is that you plot it onto Excel. Then you can see something. You can make a graph and you can see something. So it is that tedious for a technical superintendent to do this kind of work.
I see.
Yeah.
And it is vessel by vessel right now.
Yes, and it's vessel by vessel. One of that, each one of them look after 6 vessels. Just imagine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they have a lot of information in their head.
There is a lot of information, and honestly, I don't think they will ever have enough time to go and look at all this data and analyze them. That's why there's a lot of experience on the background. When they see all this data day in, day out, they actually can register if something is wrong. This is not normal. It's all through human experience already.
Right. Okay. Okay. Another question. Do you have some planned maintenance system in place?
At the moment, we are implementing planned maintenance system. This planned maintenance system is a very traditional one. Again, it is one of those that I told you, the manufacturers say after 1 month, you overhaul, you maintain. It's that kind of that simple. It's more to help us plan a scheduler. Nothing more intelligent than trying to detect any issue from the machine.
Right. So it's like when someone tells me every year I need to go for annual health check.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Right? Yeah, it just tells you, no matter, I don't know
Correct.
how much you work or not, or you exercise, you just go every year. Okay,
exactly.
So that's what you have, right?
Yeah, correct. But measuring the blood pressure every day tells you something, right? Every day you look at it, it tells you.
That's right. Okay. Okay, someone's asking Power Instruments, Steve from Power Instruments,
right.
Steven, sorry, is asking, does the vessel's MEs and AEs have J1939 canvas output and a service port? I mean, I don't know some of those acronyms. I hope you know, Bernard.
I know these are the signal output that is referring to. Actually, I'm not sure. I do not know what kind of output is coming out from there. I believe Steve, is it Steven?
Steven, that's right.
Steven is talking about more recent technology, more modern technology, where straight away you can get all this signal out and you can do it, you can use it. It's a digital signal. So you can use all this signal to train it, to analyze it.
Okay.
Steven, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. We have to find out more.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I suppose if Steven's interested, you can write into enquiries at Pier71 and we can also get the answer back from Bernard. Right? Okay. So yep. Okay. Then we have another question. How from Lee Chonghua asking, how do you use data to do some prediction? Is it regression? I suppose he's asking currently how you use your data, which you've earlier mentioned that it is very manual. You don't even have an Excel sheet, right?
Exactly. Right. So example, what we do is we monitor main engine performance, right? So when we get the set of data for the main engine, we will compare with their data in a new build condition, because all machinery maker test the machine when they deliver or when they build new. You use that as a base data to cross-check and you detect any trend. Again, this is very manual. So only by human interpretation that you understand, okay, I think this is good, this is bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the only way that we are doing now.
Yeah. Okay. So lots of scope for innovation and new solutions to come aboard.
Correct. So basically, what I'm looking for is automation of all this data comparing, using data to tell me something, instead of me trying to figure out, looking at data and figure out and tell myself that, oh no, there's nothing wrong.
Right. Okay, sure. And another question, and that also would bring me to one more segment that we've not covered, which is the constraints that potential solution providers should have in mind. So what are some of the constraints that you think that they should keep, important for them to keep in mind when they're thinking of a solution? And this relates to Rodion's question about whether connectivity, do you have connectivity on board? So are your Harbour Tugs at coastal areas? Do they go deep sea?
They are coastal area most of the time in Singapore water. At the moment, we are using mobile network to communicate back to office. So communication-wise, not an issue. We are also looking at improving communication by trying to install antenna that can push the range further out, still getting mobile signal. Yeah, we're trying to improve on the communication part as well. Okay.
Right. And also on the cost, I suppose cost is definitely something you want to be careful about, cost efficient solution, right?
Yeah.
What elaboration can you share about that, if any? Is there a specific price range that you have in mind that you to share?
Okay. Typically, a Harbour Tug costs about 8 million. Okay. Let me share with everybody.
Okay.
So I don't expect us to spend a lot on Harbour Tug. If she's brand new, I'm still quite. I think it's still quite worth it. But some of our vessels are quite old, as old as 23. So for those vessels, I think I have about 6 now. I don't think we're not gonna try to put too much investment into it. But for the rest, anything below 100K kind of thing, it depends on how elaborate the whole system is, right? Should be reasonable investment.
Okay, and when you say 100K, you're referring to per vessel?
Yes, per vessel.
Okay, so the implementation of the solution on board.
Yeah. It depends on how much work need to be done to put into to collect the data. as you asked just now, how many percent of this data are already digitalized? So if they are, the more they are digitalized, the easier to tap the information out. So this aspect, I'm not very sure. So any potential solution provider will be able to find this out and see how much is it really costly to implement this solution.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful that we have that kind of price range in mind. Are there any other things that startups should have in mind in thinking about the potential solution? Other constraints that they should bear in mind?
I don't think there is much constraint. It's more the technology they need to be prepared for. Right. What technology, what solution they have to put on board. Okay, maybe just to share with everyone, the main bulk of the machine that we have, the main engine, when Stephen just now say ME is main engine, the AE is
auxiliary. Okay. Keep learning. Thank you.
Most of our main engine are Niigata engine. So the older generation, I think there's a lot of analog signal. So the newer one may have some digital signal coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. And the AE are mostly Cummins engine. That's an American brand.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically these are the two big group of machine manufacturer that we are using.
Okay. Thanks, that's good to know. And are there any other parties that should be involved in determining the usability of a potential solution? So like, for example, would the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, need to sign off and say that this solution is something I trust? Or is it really just for the user side to utilize?
Actually, it's from our side. It's from the user side only to utilize. Yeah.
So it's not something that the OEMs need to come on board. So that also relates to Victoria's question that's just come in. Is it easy to collect data from a new vessel, or will the manufacturer block access to the data?
I don't think the manufacturer will block. I know usually solution provider who does not deal with manufacturer directly will have this problem. That's where we come in. We are the vessel owner. We already tell equipment manufacturer, this is ours. We bought the whole thing. It can't be like you don't allow me to access.
I see.
That's where we come in and work with solution provider to bridge that gap. This is our responsibility.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So would class societies have to be involved or not? So the bigger vessels.
If class society gets involved and the conditioning monitoring works, then class will recognize this as a way we do maintenance. So they will not demand us to open up the machine according to manufacturer's timeline. Yeah, they do recognize such solution. But I'm not sure in the classification society progress. Are there anyone that's able to do this, or have they recognized certain system that can do this? That one. Okay. So potentially solution provider can also work with classification society to make their product known. And then register with the classification society means that it's a proven solution.
Yeah. Okay. So it will support the implementation side. Will be
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Stephen also again asked about that because he says old engines, installing sensors on board old engines can be difficult. So there may need to be arrangement with the engine manufacturer and the class society.
That's right.
Yeah. Is this something that you guys can facilitate in terms of connecting with the OEMs?
Yes, that is something we can facilitate, not an issue.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. Okay, then I think maybe with the two more questions here in the chat, and then we'll wrap up soon. So person again from Victoria, can you repeat how many vessels are digital in your fleet and how many are not? So I think you had mentioned.
The whole fleet. I only know that about, I think it has 2. There is more digital. There's more digital.
Yes. Okay.
So the rest are, I'm quite sure they are not really digitalized.
That's right for new solutions to come in. Yes, and then Rodion asked, to what extent in a way are your crew ready for digital solutions? I think earlier you already mentioned that Keppel Smit is the one who bridges the gap, right? So I guess the fact that you're putting up this challenge statement means that you are keen to explore digital solutions. Right. Yeah,
that's right. We are very, very keen, in fact, because actually all these solutions help the crew. It won't burden them. Yeah. at the moment, this data that's coming back, this reporting they're doing is manual. So with this, they don't have to do this work all over again. They can just learn how to look at the data and understand the data, and at times help them to make better decisions.
Okay. And in terms of data collection, actually, one more question is came from Anand. Is there data that you can share for startups that are currently hardware providers? Or would you be able to share data? I suppose if there is a solution and a proposal that comes in that you think might be able to meet your needs, then you can take it a step further and explore with the startup, right? And that's how the data can be shared.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So then my last question would be actually relating to that also. So for startups that are selected for the Accelerate program, and they do get they will be eligible for the MPA grant of 50,000 to pilot the solution. What kind of resources and support could they look forward to from Keppel Smit Towage?
Well, all we have is ships and people.
A lot of the most important. Right.
So I got 4 superintendents, including myself. Actually, we are trying to recruit somebody who's electronic background.
Okay.
These are what we are trying to prepare to be more ready for all this kind of digital thing going forward.
Right. Okay. So what the startups can expect is that they will have pilot ships to pilot their solution with. Yes. Right. They will have people who will be willing to also share their expertise and data working with, and then the fact that you guys are also primed for adopting more of these digital solutions. Yeah.
That's right. Actually, we have a autonomous start project ongoing already. If some of them do not know yet.
Yes, that's right. So very, very advanced. Yes. Okay, one more question, just slipped right in from Stephen again. Are your tugboats fitted with satellite comm systems, or will the telemetry be over GSM?
It will be over mobile data. There is no satellite comms, because satellite comms is expensive. We are within mobile range, so it's not cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Bernard. That was a very good discussion, and thank you everyone. For those who are keen to connect further, please feel free to write to inquiries at PS11 for follow up, and also do submit your proposals. Later on, we'll share the link that you can do so. Okay, so thank you, Bernard, and thank you again, everyone. We will then go on to the second problem statement, an equally exciting problem statement. Hello, Azim.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Okay, so for everyone who's tuning in, if you missed the introduction earlier, Azim will be talking about customs and port clearance data, and he is from Wilhelmsen Ship Agency. So if I can ask Azim to first introduce himself, the work that he does, and what Wilhelmsen does.
Hi, everybody. I'm Azim Qureshi. I'm the offer manager, or what we call a product manager here at Wilhelmsen Ship Services. And what we do is ships agency around the world. And we have around 2,200 ports in which we are represented, and that's quite a lot. And that makes us one of the biggest ships agency networks out there in the market. And what I do with ships agency, I try and find new ways in which we can add value to our customers' operations, and generally smoothen the customer experience for them. That's my role.
Wonderful, thank you, Azim. Well, there's a huge reach, 2,200 ports out there. So that also then starts to paint a bit of the picture in the background, right? So then we talk about your innovation opportunity, which is on port and customs regulation. So to first help us to understand and set the stage for us, what is the current process? What kind of regulations are you talking about, and how is this information collected?
Right. The current process for collecting information is very, very manual today, for our customers, that is. I mean, if you need information about, let's say, bunker fuel regulations, right? When you're going into a port, you might find some information online, but a lot of our customers would actually go to an agent to get that information from them. And then the agent would in turn around and face the port authorities and collect the information from these guys and do that like globally around the world, right? So it's very, very manual. And a lot of our agents now use sometimes digital tools, but a lot of times not, because there's tons of digital tools out there, but nothing under the same roof, so it makes it a bit difficult.
Yeah. Yep. So you mentioned the bunker fuel regulations, right? And that's just, I suppose, one out of many. So can you give us a sense of what are the kinds of regulations that ships need?
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. As said, I mean, bunker fuel regulation are one. You've got immigration, you have customs, you have, for instance, scrubber regulations. Now, scrubber regulations is also one thing that we are asked a lot of the time about, because depending on the type of scrubber you have fitted your vessel with, you might not be allowed entry into specific ports around the world, right? So that's one set of regulation. Also, one thing that is very, very valid today is perhaps the COVID-19 regulations around the world,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? That impacts the vessels because they cannot sail in and out of port as they usually did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll share with you one of the tools that we use for with our customers for COVID-19 regulations a bit later, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks. So it's also interesting that, I mean, earlier we are talking about collecting data from onboard a vessel, right? Now we're also talking about data again to our audience. So if you're here for that, that's great. But it's about data in a different way, right? We're talking about how you can collect the regulations from various different sources, many different types of regulations. So if you can also share, what are the kinds of variations? Like how varied are these regulations? Okay, I understand COVID could be quite varied, but things like customs, immigration, scrubbers, if we're not too familiar, what kind of differentiation is there?
Right. So I'll give you guys a very, very specific example. Like let's say that your vessel is holds dangerous cargo on board them. And depending on the port, some places in Europe, you might need to have X number of tugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now things start becoming a bit more interesting. Sometimes the cargo that is deemed dangerous is potentially deemed more dangerous in other countries than some other countries, right? Things that might require a single tug to get your vessel into the berth might require 3 tugs or 4 tugs. Maybe not 4, that's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, you may require more tugs just to get into the berth. And how do you get that information?
Yeah.
You get that by contacting somebody locally. And then you can start imagining, but if my vessel is trading a few hundred ports, right?
Yes.
Maybe not a few hundred ports, but let's say 50 ports in a year.
Yeah.
That's 50 sets of regulations that you need to be aware of.
For one vessel, this one vessel,
one
type
vessel.
of cargo.
Yeah. One type
Okay.
of cargo, one vessel. Yeah, it gets complicated.
It is. It sounds complicated, especially because it's so global, right? Shipping is such a global business. Yeah.
Exactly.
So where are the sources of information then that you typically get right now? So some would be online, easily accessible. How about, other parts? Yeah, other sources.
You're absolutely right, Jessica. A lot of the sources are available online. I think one of the bigger problems right now is there's a lot of different sources for different things, right? Yeah. If you need bunker regulation sources, you may actually find a good digital source for bunker or for scrubbers. How we do though, on a lot of the immigration regulations, the local port might have a website in which they post their information. If we're really, really lucky, that port may have good APIs and a database you can just connect to and then extract and consume that information and serve it up nicely to your customers.
That would be best. That
would be best. But now websites is the best we can hope for. Otherwise, we do collect a lot on emails and we have our contact points in ports. But just to give you an idea that some ports have also private terminals. And then again, that information might not be that easily available. So.
And I presume that not just that, would language be a barrier as well? Like wherever you go, you may not have English as a working language everywhere. So you need your local agents to kind of interpret as well.
Definitely. And we do a lot of interpretation and translation from our side for the ports. And thankfully, a lot are having English material. But we do realize that a lot of our customers still rely on us as agents to provide them that interpretation that this is what the regulation is about. And this is what this means. So things can get easily lost in translation.
Yeah, okay. So there's lots of different sources, lots of different variations, and the means of collecting is quite varied as well. The channels for information, right? You have websites, you could have email, you could have a direct contact on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the things to take into consideration. Another question: how much lead time, or in the process that you ship, before they arrive at the port, how much lead time do they need or do they have in terms of collecting such info? Do I get like a week in advance where I can, find it out, or is it like give me the information tomorrow?
That's a very good question. And sometimes the lead time is long, when the vessel knows, okay, I'm coming from Singapore and I'm going to, let's say, Tokyo, Japan. And I know that these are the two ports I'm going to travel in between. So I would potentially have 2 to 3 weeks advance notice to know exactly what I need to know. And then I can spend that time connecting with agent, connecting with ports, Googling the information that I need, and then I'll be well prepared. But a lot of the time, I might not get that notice. I might be told which port I need to visit. And let's say I'm carrying iron ore to China. Suddenly, things change, and I'm told to go to a port in southern China rather than northern China.
Right.
Sounds easy, but not really, because regulatory-wise, it might be a completely different set of rules, right?
Yes, and where do you even start to find out the information? Yeah, that's difficult.
Exactly. And if you're a customer and you're sitting all across the world, let's say in America, right? You're in a different time zone, you don't speak the language, and suddenly you're asked to just get all the information you can so you can make sure that your vessel can go to berth and discharge your cargo.
Yeah. And there's a lot at stake, right? Because if you're stopped at the port, allowed to come in, that's very expensive downtime and a lot of waiting. So it's a lot at stake as well. Yeah,
Jessica, I mean, if you wait for a few hours in port, that costs tens and thousands of dollars just for a few hours. So it's crazy. That's why they spend so much time and effort into getting this information, right?
Yeah. And that's helpful because then that also shows us the scale and size of this problem, right? And why it's really important one to be tackling. So when I think about what are the challenges that you're actually trying to solve, or the problem that you're really facing, you've mentioned quite a lot of it, right? In the fact that there's a lot of man hours involved. It could be tedious. It could be prone to errors, perhaps, and the cost involved if there's a long delay or a long port stay. Yep. So. And I think because it's so global as well, it means that any solution there has really potential to scale. Yep. So that's important.
Definitely. And if I may add just one thing to what you just said, Jessica, the thing is, what's good about this solution, it's something that the entire shipping industry can consume and benefit of. So for us ships agents, this would make it easier to communicate with our customers. For customers, it would make it easier to plan their voyages, right? But not only them, like think about everything that is delivered and carried to the vessel and everybody that's dependent on that vessel coming into port. Like the crew, the technical management, the commercial owners, the charters, the traders, the shippers, the receivers. I mean, everybody needs to have this type of information.
Yes, that's right. So for our startups that are listening in, once again, this is a chance for you to make a global impact. You can really transform the industry. So do try to think about how you can creatively solve this problem. And for those who are in here, if you've got any questions, again, do feel free to put it in the Zoom Q&A. Okay, so maybe we'll just continue. So Azim, then have you guys tried solutions, and what have you tried? And maybe this is where you might want to, I think you have something to show us.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked, Jessica, because then I can show you something that we put together.
Yep.
So here we go. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So what you're seeing in front of you is the COVID-19 port restrictions. Now, the COVID-19 port restriction actually really exemplifies well the problem of just one restriction on the entire vessel's voyage. Now, what this does, this map gives the customer a really clear and concise overview of what the COVID regulations are for conducting crew changes around the world. Right. If I want to know more about conducting crew changes in the Middle East, I can simply click the Middle East here. And then I can go in and see where there's possibilities of doing crew changes. So for instance, red areas, there's literally no possibility of doing crew changes, which means that you don't need to spend time reading up on regulations there. And trust me, there's a lot of regulations to be aware of.
Yeah.
So in this case, we see that vessel owners must ensure certificates and vaccination lists are updated and renewed, sorry. And we see that there's any crew that has joined within 14 days should have a copy of their PCR test. And then we see that crew changes are not permitted actually at all. And this is one of the reasons why it makes sense to simplify the information. Because if you read the two first points, you may think that crew changes are possible because of these regulations. However, there's other regulations in place which just simply flat out says you can't do the crew change at all.
Right.
But this is our take
Yeah.
on how we can reach our customers, and our customers do use our COVID map to get those COVID port restrictions. And for everybody out there, now imagine if you're a customer of ours, like an operator or a trader, if you could have all your regulations or at least a big chunk of them available in a single website or a single tool, that would make life so much easier for everybody.
Yeah. This is a great map that you have here, actually. I mean, could you do one for air travel? Then I can know which country I can visit, whether I need to get COVID jab. But yeah, no, this is really good. And actually just wanting to find out, I mean, yeah, like you said, this is just one regulation, right? It's COVID regulation. How did you even pull out the information? Is it something that you had APIs from every single country's website? Or did the IMO come up with this list and share it with you? How did you pull this together?
No, that's where we rely on the guys and girls that work for us in the local ports around the world. Actually, they keep this map updated with information that they gather from the local health authorities, the local immigration authorities,
Wow.
and the local port authorities. And then they put this up so everybody can benefit.
Okay.
And this tool is actually free for use. So anybody, like even sailors, can go and get information about how to do crew changes or where to do crew changes.
Wow, really good. Okay, so a lot of hard work behind just putting up a map for one kind of a regulation. Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
that is true.
Okay, so what you're looking for here for this problem statement is a solution that could perhaps do something similar, but for a wide range of customs port information. Is that right?
That is right. And again, we know that there's a lot of information that is more easily available through APIs or through websites that have databases of regulations. We see it as a challenge that nobody has actually brought everything under the same roof.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the lowest hanging fruit. And then, of course, all that information that's collected locally would come after that.
Yeah. And I noticed that your challenge statement title also isn't just about centralizing the information, but sort of organizing them, interpreting them as well. So that would be, I suppose, some features that you would look out for so that there can be this sense making that's being done by the solution, right?
Yeah, quality of the information that is made available, it's going to be a challenge everywhere. Because sometimes you need to have trained eyes that have actually verified and vetted the information that is being released to the customers. And trust me, when that's where the quality of the agency actually comes in, because a well-qualified agent may be concise and give you exactly what you need, while an agent that's maybe not that senior, he might not read the same from the same information or from the same data source, and that's where you actually might need to have some good verification or vetting in place.
Right. So there needs to be some sort of having verifiable, reliable data, right? Okay. Are there other features that the solution should have that are important that you're looking for?
I think ease of use and speedy consumption is potentially the two things that are most important, and just some way of organizing the information, because there's vast quantities of it. And we know that a lot of companies and organizations, they've actually dedicated entire departments into getting this information, organizing this in massive Excel sheets. And if you think about it, already people are investing in getting these organized. So there's also a willingness to pay for this. Just having this available and easily consumed, I think that's the key.
Yeah, okay. Are there specific measurements or metrics of success that you have?
Yeah, we would see whether or not it can reduce the workload for our agents, and if it speeds up the process of our communication with our customers, and also how many people are actually using the tool if it's used.
Okay, yeah, so that's helpful. Okay, so no questions thus far. If you those who are tuning in, if you do have questions, you can write into us. We can find out more from Azim. So just to summarize, he's looking for a solution that can help to streamline this whole process, very tedious, complex rather, process of getting all the global port and customs information around the world and keeping it regularly updated, easily accessible. And that has huge implications in terms of time, cost involved, potential to scale, and people and willingness to pay, as Azim pointed out. So, so that's what we have. And then maybe the last question then on what can startups expect in working with Wilhelmsen? So what can a finalist look forward to, in working with you guys in this?
I would say a finalist can look forward to quite a lot of things. I mean, Wilhelmsen is a global organization, and we have around 11,000 shipping companies that we service around the world, a lot of the bigger names out there. But not only that, we have the expertise, we have the manpower down in the ports. We have a specific and dedicated department that actually works with startups and scale-ups. So we have that infrastructure in place already. And we do feel that, yeah, we have the infrastructure available, and we have dedicated resources available, and we have the global reach to actually expand fast.
Right, yes, and I think that's definitely very true. Wilhelmsen has been very involved in our Smartport challenge and our innovation process. So that's great. That's a lot that startups can look forward to, working with a very on-board, dedicated corporate who is very keen on innovation. And I think with that, there are 2 more questions coming in, which is good. So Ali has asked, are you planning to make the data that you have available to organize as a starting point? So will there be some data availability? Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's quite a lot of data that's already available. So one of the data sets that you just saw was the COVID-19 map. Another data set we have, and which is also available on our website, is the Suez Canal rebate map.
Okay.
So you can click around and see which trade routes actually impact how much impact the different regulations that are available in the Suez Canal. And yeah, we have quite a few other tools as well, like layups, where you can and cannot do layups around the world. So there's quite a lot of data that we have and which we bring to the table, but we know that we need to consolidate the data and combine it with other data sources as well.
Right. Okay. So I hope that answers the question there. And there's another question from Anand. What starting points could you suggest for a startup for this challenge?
Oh, that's interesting. I think the easiest starting point would be to look at databases out there, because we can provide some data, but then you already have databases out there that have niche data, right? And what would be good would be to combine these niche data sources out already in the market and bring them together so that the customer, the end user, only has one location where they need to go to get the data that they need for different purposes, like a one-stop shop, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that tip. That's useful. I hope the startups here find that useful too. And Apple has a question: can a scale-up company submit a proposal? I suppose that question is to PS71. So yeah, you can still submit a proposal. You might want to go to our website where there are certain more specific descriptions about the size of the company, startup being 5 to 10 years. So there you can find out a little bit more, but again, feel free to get in touch and submit your proposal anyway, and we will take into consideration as well. Yep. Okay, and if there are no further questions, I think that maybe we can also show the video from Wilhelmsen. So we did these animation videos for all the challenge statements actually, but because we have a bit of time, maybe we can show that for the visual learners here. So yeah, we can show the video now, I guess. Just a minute, coming right up. Oh yeah, the terms and conditions are on our website. Thank you, Priscilla.
Cargo operations for the maritime industry are governed by regulations from local port authorities. Delays or entry refusals caused by untimely and inaccurate information for port clearances have huge economic and environmental impact as ships spend more time out at sea. Today, port regulatory information is unstructured, available in various formats such as Word, Excel, or emails across different platforms, ranging from websites to unofficial channels and in different languages. This makes it difficult for shippers, charterers, operators, and agents to be confident that they have a reliable and legitimate source and that the information is accurately interpreted, especially for smaller ports. Wilhelmsen Ship Service is looking for a solution that centralizes port regulatory information and acts as a single source across the industry. The selected startup will have support from Wilhelmsen to develop and validate their proof of concept as part of Smartport Challenge.
Lovely. Thank you. Yes, I love how it ended with you have the support of Wilhelmsen to develop your solutions.
Which you do. And just, I want to thank you guys for putting together that awesome video. It's really, really good. And really captures what we were looking for.
Thank you for the support too. And yeah, we hope that it helps the startups to better understand the solution on hand and the problem on hand, sorry. And this is a very exciting problem, a global one, and very important one to tackle as well. So do put in your proposals. So with that, then I would like to really thank Azim. Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting in this challenge statement. And we look forward to what the startups can put up in their proposals.
Thank you.
I will now go on to our closing slides, just to wrap up. Thank you everyone for your participation. So if in case you missed, we have 17 innovation opportunities for this year's Smartport Challenge. You can go to the QR code here to explore more about these innovation opportunities, and deadline is 10th of August. So applications are open now. So please feel free at any point in time to submit your proposals before the 10th of August. And if you are selected for the Accelerate program, you'll be in for an exciting 6 weeks of masterclasses, networking sessions that will help you to better understand the sector, to engage with potential clients, and to sharpen your solution. And at the end of it, you will also be eligible for the MPA grant to pilot your solution with up to $50,000. And so next week's session, we have another 2 very exciting problem statements. So today's one is more sort of data related, the data collection on board the ship, as well as data collection from ports. Next week, we have health related ones. So crew safety and health and workplace fall injuries. So do join us to find out more about these problem statements. And one more shout out that we have, Inno Fest. So Inno Fest is upcoming just next week, and that is the region's largest startup festival on 14th to 16th of July. It is fully virtual and admission is free, which is good. So do join us. You can scan that QR code again to register. Pier71 is hosting a panel discussion on what are the conditions of growth for maritime tech startups. So what's important for startups to be able to take root and grow and to scale. And that will be on 15th of July, 4:30 p.m. We also have 9 startups exhibiting. So 9 of our alumni who have been through our Pier71 program. So you can also sign up and find out more about them through networking at the virtual booths. Okay, so thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for joining us. And thank you once again to Azim and Bernard for your explanations and for engaging with us this afternoon. Okay, thank you everyone, and I will see you again next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.